holly hanging across the door, neighbors singing tales of yore. It's so close, hardly can wait, waking up on Christmas, children dream.
Hello everyone, Abby here, Purple Cottage Crafts, and welcome back to another video here on my channel. This one is going to be about my vintage postcard journal number 2. And just a quick little note as I'm showing you guys the dust cover, I do have my space heater on. It is negative 25, I think it said, so it's really cold right now, and I have to have that on. So I apologize if it's any extra noise in the background. So this is just a super simple, quick, easy dust cover that I made for each of the journals. And then I just attached on some vintage lace, and I just tied it on. That way you could easily remove it and use it on a different project if you want to. Same thing with the button here. This is completely something you can deconstruct if you choose. You can make it into a journal itself, you can take it apart, cut it apart, whatever it is you want to do with it, or you can just keep it as it is. So I just wanted to show you guys that there's no glue or anything like that. It's just all stitching, so it's really easy to take this apart if you want to do that. All right, and there's the cover for this particular vintage postcard journal, and I love it. I love the tones and the colors in here. Now I do have a video that I will link below where I showed you guys, not on this journal, but the third one, of how I create this super simple fabric binding. So I'll link that below if you want to check that out, and we'll go ahead and get right into it. Okay, the first page, I never cover the backs of postcards because I love how you can see the original, the stamping, the canceled mark, you can see their handwriting. I think it's really cool, so I leave those plain so you can have that to look at. There's just a strip of some stitched fabric. This is some older wallpaper. It's got a really nice feel to it. You guys can see that okay. And then this is just some paper with some, this is vintage sheet music. Now this isn't Christmas, but I like the color of it. I like the red and kind of the cream. So I thought that went really well with the theme. So put some of that in there. And you're going to be seeing lots of my little slow stitchy collagey bits. And all the buttons in here are vintage, in case I forget to mention that. So this is the second one that I made. And so my first one is the chunkiest. This is the middle one. And then the last one, of course, is the least decorated. So you're going to see a little bit more blank pages in here than you did in journal number 1 if you watched that video. And that's just a basic couching stitch there. It is some fabric and some graph paper, and you can just flip it up and you can journal. I just love this paper. It's just such a lovely sound. This is a tip-in. This is some tape right here. This is a Tim Holtz thing, and I just went in and I just did some simple stitching over top of the existing cranberries. It just gives it a textural feel plus a dimensional look as well. And this is just some old material, and it just flips up. And on the back side, I just wrapped it around. This is the back side of that vintage, I think it came off of a petticoat or something, I can't remember. And you can see the knots right there. I don't cover that stuff because I think it looks cool, and it's a textural thing again. So there, you can journal or put a picture underneath there, whatever it is you'd like to do. And then this is some more vintage papers and whatnot, just kind of collage down. There is a fabric page in this journal, and what I did for each side of it is I just made one of my small slow stitchy collagey bits, and I just pinned it in here with a rusty safety pin. So you could take this off and use it in a different journal, different art project. You can gift it to somebody else if you want. You can pin it somewhere else in the journal if you want to do that, or you can even add things in here if you would like. So there's that, and this is the one on this side here. This is a little bit smaller one. Kind of show you the size. And then here's a tip-in. And in that journal video, I do show you guys how I make those in the tutorial. Really super simple. Here's a little boy. And I use, I think, one of these photos. It's a different photo, but it's the same little boy in journal number 1. And then it tips out like that. This is some old dictionary page and some fabric that I stitched. And then I have that tape run over the back side because I like how that looks. Just some more collage papers. And then this is part of that petticoat or some type of linen. I can't remember exactly because I've cut it up a bunch. And then just some different textiles in there. Just tons and tons of seed stitching along that piece there. And again, just more real estate to do some journaling or drawing or whatever it is you'd like to do. And here is it's kind of like a chipboard, pressed board type of material. I'm not sure exactly, but it's a vintage bingo marker. I thought that was fun. This is part of an old doily that I had. Just some more collage paper on here. Another strip of the fabric. And just kind of tattered edges because I love that. And again, I just did some more couching with some old lace that you can kind of see right there. I just did the couching stitch along there. Super simple one. So just adds a lot of fun to that. Okay, and on the bottom corner of this one, this is an old bus ticket from London. And it's just got some material underneath it. And then this is just some crinkly paper here, and here we are on the center of the signature. This is just one signature, I'm not sure if I mentioned that, and is part of a Christmas lyric from a songbook. This paper here is end papers from a vintage book. I thought it was really pretty. And then here's another stitched collage bit there, and I just love how you can see the backside through there. It's such a nice feeling, great texture. Some vintage trim on the top part, and this is some really lovely vintage trim that I've been hoarding and hoarding, but I decided to use some. So I mean, that's what I buy it for, but you know, I also get it because I like to just hold on to it and look at it. So there's that piece on that one. And then down here, this is part of a book spine, and then I just put that on there, and I just stitched on some fabric. And I love this stuff. Love it, love it. Again, a couple more pages for writing, and then another little bit up here, an old button. And then this is another little tip in. It kind of flips up again. So the underside, that is just some unbleached muslin, or no, excuse me, cheesecloth, and I just put a little bit of tea on it. And then this is more of that bookend paper from the vintage book, some old lace, and then this is from an old envelope. I thought that was really cool, so put that in there. And then here we have just some older wallpaper. This is from an old greeting card, and this is actually from some papers from 1839. It's cotton rag paper, and I thought that was kind of a fun little look. Here we have this one, and again, it's just safety pinned in so they can be easily removed. And here's the last one for this journal anyway. And here in the corner, I have just an old textile with an older stamp with some stapling on there on top. Thought that was kind of a fun little thing to do. And then again, I left the staples exposed. I like how that looks. And then here we have a little side pocket type of a thing. And I'll let you kind of look at it first, and then I'll show you guys what's in there. Just some really old lace that I have there, just stitched on some fabric. And then these two things are inside. These are just little basic tags, like they're plain. And that was intentional, so there would be a little bit more room to journal or to put on a photo, or whatever it is you'd like to do. And the lace is easily removed. It's just tied on. I didn't glue it, so if you want to take it off and use it somewhere else, you can do that. Same thing with this one here. And then I have a punch that cuts out the little hole reinforcers, and I use that same older book page, end page. And then here's the third one, just some old lace tucked in there, or attached on there, excuse me. There's the back side. Okay, for the next page, you can see all the beautiful stitching on the back side, the texture of it, I'm trying to say. And then there's more of that 1839 paper wrapped around. And then here we have another flip up, and this is from an old book here, and I just collaged on some different fabrics and textiles and some paper, and you can just flip this up and journal or whatever it is you like to do. And we're getting close to the end of this one. Here's another little pocket, side pocket, and this is made with some stitching, some old lace again, or excuse me, from old textile. And then I have a couple small tags inside there. I'll show those to you in a moment. And on the back side, there's also a little journal that comes with this one. And then here's the very last page, just some collaged papers on there. Okay, so for the two little tags that are in this particular page, these are just little craft tags that I just did some stitching on, and with old lace and some different textiles, things like that. And then the back side for you to journal on as I continue dropping these things. So I thought those are really cute and kind of fun. Okay, so for the little journal that is in the back of this one, this again is just some more of that same old book paper and just a variety of different parts of different receipts and coffee dye papers, parts of checks from old books, just various things in here. This is more paper from 1839, and then just some dress pattern paper, a stamp. This one's from 1966. This is some paper from my mark making video that I did, which I'll link below in case you want to check that out. It's part of an old ledger. It's more of a canceled check. More of that 1839 paper. Really cool little tiny thing. You can put little notes in, you can tuck tickets in there, you can put photos in, whatever you want. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to include that in this journal. Okay, so the room heater just kicked on, so I'm going to try to do this last part fairly quickly, so hopefully you can still hear me talking. So this is Vintage Postcard Journal number 2. I will have a direct link to this one that you can find on my website in the description box below. And again, this is going to come in this little super simple dust cover that I made, and I always include a couple little extra things just so it's kind of a nice surprise when you open it up, like a little present. So all right, you guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.